Okay, so good morning, everyone. I hope some people have joined us. Today, we'll be talking about how security is an issue and how Google platform could help us in making our applications more secure. We have with us Mr. Venkat. He's a very experienced person working with Google Cloud, and I would request Mr. Venkat to kindly share his views on how we could secure our applications with Google Cloud platform.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Kaur. Hey, guys, good morning. Before we start the session, so guys, can you hear me clearly? All right, if you can give me some response, that will be really great. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, sir, we are, sir.
Perfect, there we go. All right, and hope my screen is visible to you as well.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, that's great, guys. So today we're gonna, okay, straight away someone started with the question and answer. Oh yeah, it's an answer. Okay, good, great. So guys, yes, my name is Venkat and I have like 15 years of experience. I worked on various BI tools and I've passed like 6 years we are working on the cloud platform wherein, okay, right now I'm working for BT Bank Indonesia and working for the Techatronic Singapore, wherein for Techatronic Singapore, we are moving their on-premise implementation onto GCP cloud, which is there. Okay, and I take care of the analytic plots on that GCP cloud. This is a small introduction from my side, and we'll start with the session wherein we're going to talk about, okay, why Google Cloud is important and what are the various services which are available and all right, how it's going to scale its resources, which is on demand or as and when it's needed by the client. So today agenda will be, all right, we're going to talk about, all right, so what is cloud computing is all about and what are the cloud deployment models which are there and what are the different types of services we have in the cloud, like we have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, and how do you do the comparison between these different type of the cloud services along with the on-premise implementation. We're going to look into the major cloud providers in this market, like we have AWS, GCP, Azure. So each one has its own importance, which is there. And we're going to start with the introduction to your Google Cloud platform. Then we talk about the reasons why GCP is a good option. All right. When I say it's only, all right, GCP based upon some of the features which the users may be using across. All right. We never contradict the statement. It's GCP only is good. The other cloud platforms are also equally good, but it depends upon, okay, how well it's going to solve our problem and serve our purpose. Then we're going to talk about, all right, some of the use cases which has been used by one of our clients called as a project. Then we talk about the security and the scaling. All right. So when we talk about, all right, putting something in some other places, the major concern comes to the security. So we're going to talk about the security aspects, and then finally we're going to talk about the scaling, how it will be able or capable of providing the resources as and when needed. Okay. So let's talk about the on-premise implementation. All right. So is it like all the guys are muted across?
Yes, sir. All of them would be muted. And of course, if they want to ask, they could ask through chat boxes.
Oh, is it? All right. Perfect. All right, guys. We thought like it will be an interactive session. Not a problem. Okay. So usually when you talk about way backs, all right, a decade back, which is that, usually we go with the on-premise implementation, which is there. So the on-premise implementation is like, all right, if you want to create any application, all right, all you need to do is like, first, you need to locate a location, all right. So on a building, I can say, or in an office, I can say, then you have to set up your infrastructure. Then you have to buy across the laptops or the computers. Then you need to have installed the operating system, which enable you to interact with your computer. Then you're going to install the software that is needed in order to create your application. Then you start creating the applications. So ideally, just get your infrastructure set up, it's going to take months across. Then you're going to install, then it's going to take days across. Then you're going to install the software that is needed. Again, it's going to take the days. Then you start creating your applications. But in case if your server with the capacity that you purchased is not able to support, then you have to purchase a new server, which is that. All right. So is there any way that we get all this option readily available? That's where the cloud computing come across. So when you talk about the cloud computing, all right. So when you talk about the cloud computing, it's basically, so whatever the resources that you need in order to create your application, all right, can be your infrastructure, can be your storage, can be your database, can be your software, or it can be analytics when you want to do some advanced analytics on your data, all right. All these bundles are available whenever you need it. That is what the cloud computing is all about. And when you talk about the different cloud resources we have, all right, these are the wide ranges of the resources which we have. We have a service, all right, which is used for computing. We have the storage for storing your data. We create your mobile applications and deploy across. And then whenever we need some data, okay, we store them in the databases, all right, and we retrieve them and perform the analytics on this. When you talk about, all right, how are these resources available? Where are they been put up? So basically, they are put up in a place called as the data centers and how they are available to the users. Okay, so when you talk about the deployment of these cloud resources, they are broadly classified into three types. One is public, other is a private, another is a hybrid one. The way they are providing the resources, they are billing us, and how it can be accessible by the other users, they have been categorized so. Okay, so let's talk about your public cloud. In case of please, someone has to go on mute, please. Right. So when you talk about your public cloud, which is there, so all the resources are being available in the data center of the providers. Like if you talk about the IBM cloud, which is there. So all these resources will be available in one of the data centers of the IBM. And these resources will be shared by the multiple users across. That's what we describe as a public cloud. All right. And whenever you guys are trying to do any POCs where you don't want to purchase a dedicated resource for you, you can give with the public cloud. So once you're done with, can I request to mute all, please? Mr. Kaur, can you look into this?
I think everybody is muted. I'll just check back with it, right, sir?
Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
No worries about that. All right. So, whenever you're trying to do any basic POCs which are there, wherein you don't want to buy any of your resource, but want to utilize it for a period of time until you complete your POCs, then we can go with the public cloud, right? And then we have a private cloud. In case of the private cloud, the entire setup, that is the data center, will be available in your organization, and the resources are dedicated to you only. So in the most of the cases, the banking sectors. So for the banking sectors, the data is very important. And you can't take the entire data, keep in the data centers of the cloud providers. Okay, it may be a security issue for you. To overcome that one, you will set up the data center in your organization and the entire data lies over there. And these resources which are there, it's only dedicated to you. Only you can utilize them. All right. And then we have a hybrid mode. In case of the hybrid mode, a part of your resources will be on the cloud, a part of the resources will be there on your premises, which is there. Okay, right. And when you talk about again the banking sector, which is there, so banking sectors do also run some promotions and all this stuff. So that's not an highly secure data which is there. So what they try to do is like these type of applications which are not secure, wherein they are running some promotions or any advertisements. So all the data related to that, they try to keep that one on the public cloud, and the entire user information, all right, all the clients information they try to maintain in public cloud, sorry, private cloud, so that they are secure in their data centers. Yeah, right. And when you talk about the cloud services which are there, okay, so in order to create any application, you need the infrastructure, you need the platform, then you need the data. Okay, so how are they provided across? All right, these services are being provided as your infrastructure as a service, your platform as a service, and software as a service. But when you go and look in, all right, we have the different other types as well. You can also find function as a service, database as a service, but they are okay. The subdivisions, I can say, the subcategories of the major three different types of the categories which you see on the screen, like the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Okay, so when you talk about the infrastructure as a service, so all the infrastructures, all right, the bare metal machines, your servers, your databases, all right, all this will be given to you. Okay, right. So on the top of that one, you have to take care of your platform, like installing the operating system, installing the software that is needed, then create the application. Okay, but when you go with your platform as a service, so all the entire platform along with the infrastructure, okay, will be readily available to you. All right, you can create a virtual machine. All right, you can choose a wide range of the data sources which are available. You can choose a wide range of the platforms which are available. They are all readily available. All you need to do is like you just need to write your application code and then add the services that is needed for your application and deploy your applications. Your applications will be readily available. So all the time that you're going to spend as a part of your platform as a service, it's only that you're going to spend, all right, what you needed in order to create your application and integrate your services. And when you talk about your software as a service, they are the services readily available. All you need to do is like plug and start playing that. Okay, right. So let us move on and looking at the comparison of your cloud services. All right, as you can see here, all the one which has been marked, all right, which is in the black color, all right, which is being managed by you. When you talk about the on-premises, yes, you have to manage the entire thing. Maybe it like the infrastructure, maybe at your platform, creating your application and things. In case of your IaaS, you get, all right, virtualization, server storage, and the networking. So rest of the thing, your platform and the application you have to take care. And when you talk about the platform as a services, the infrastructure and platform is provided to you. All you need to do is like only create the application and then start deploying your application. And when you talk about your software as a service, readily available services are there. All you need to do is plug and start playing. Okay, so when you talk about your on-premises implementation, when you go with the deployments, which is that setting up the setup, all right, it takes months together. Ideally, it's going to take 3 months. And when you talk about your infrastructure as a service, the infrastructure is already provided to you. And in order to create your platforms, it's going to just take weeks for you. And when you talk about your platform as a services, it's going to take days. And in case of the software as a services, they are readily available. It's like a span of time. In the minutes, I can say, at most it will be hours. Okay, so that's how, all right, you just do the comparison of your cloud services. When you talk about the major cloud providers, yes, the list goes on, but we have certain majors who are like pioneer in providing the cloud services. We have the Amazon Web Services, the Azure, GCP, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle, right, and the list goes on. When you talk about. So we'll be just talking about, all right, Google Cloud Platform, all right. So let's start looking at the introduction to your Google Cloud Platform, right? So guys, what I suggest is like, it's better we look into the questions at the end of the session, okay, not interrupting in the middle. That's
Sure,
fine
sir,
with you?
sure.
Perfect. We open the floor at the end and we look into the questions at the time. Okay, let's talk about your, okay, the Google Cloud Platform. So why it's been widely used across. Okay, so right. So way back from year 1998, all right, the GCP people, all right, the organization is working on with your data and how artificial intelligence can be utilized across. And in year 2008, they have launched the platform called as the Google Cloud Platform. Okay, so what are the major things? What are the fundamental attributes, okay, which contribute to your cloud computing of your GCP is like on-demand self-services. Okay, so whatever the resources that you need, they are provisioned on demand. You request for a service that is available, and there is no need for human intervention. And broad network access. You can access the Google Cloud Console from anywhere in this world. You just need to add and proper internet and resource pooling. So whatever the resources that you needed, all right, it will be available in span of time. Okay. So as of now, let us think like, okay, right, we said like we 100 users will be using. For 100 users, they have provided one server with certain capacity. But what happened is like as a days class, we are like 200 users using the applications. The one service is not able to take up the load. So what they're going to do is like they will be instantly providing a new server, okay, based upon the number of users which are there. As and when the number of users are increasing, it's going to provide you the resource. As and when the number of resources are decreasing, it's going to decrease the number of resources which are there. Then we talk about the rapid elasticity, which is there. Okay. So as and when you need a resource, the resource is available for you. It will be up and running all the time. And measured services. So we will be paid for what we are utilizing. Not like, all right, they have provided you a particular service, all right, and you are not utilizing the service, you're going to pay for that one. No way. All right. The billing will be done based upon what you are utilizing. Okay. So when you talk about the Google Cloud infrastructure, it has 3 different layers. All right. The bottom layer is networking and the security. And the second layer is your compute and the storage. And the final layer is like big data and ML products. All right. So when you talk about the network and security layer, which is that, so it provides you high network and the security in order to connect to your various computing resources and the storage. The computing part basically include all your resources which done the formatting or processing of your data or your application. And storage is used for storing your data. And then we have the big data and ML product on the top, wherein they will perform your MI or artificial intelligence, which is that, wherein we can create a number of models which are there. These models will be using the storage and will be computing, making use of the computing power which is there in your middle layer, and then it's going to provide you the outcomes. All right. The major business insight and the decisions taken are with the help of your big data and ML product from your GCP. Okay. So how these resources are available? These resources are basically available as a part of your data centers. So we have 18 regions, all right, wherein you have these data centers. These 18 regions are further divided into the zones, wherein you have 52 zones, and then you have across 100 different data centers which are available. It can happen, right? You can have the data centers in each and every region. Okay, so even in India, we have certain data centers, all right, which are available in a couple of states, which are there. Okay. So how they are being basically classified. So how they are being divided across. So what did the Google people did is like they have divided the entire world into 3 regions. That basically the America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. These regions, all right, they are basically called as the multi-regions. These multi-regions again further divided into the regions. So when you talk about the Europe, okay, in the Europe, you have a London region, which is there. And within the London region, again, you have the zones. Okay, right? A simple example is like, okay, right, we have a multi-region called as in India, which has been divided into the regions, like we call them at the state, and each state is further divided into the cities. So you mean to say in each cities, we have a particular zones wherein they are available with your all the computing resources that is being needed across. Okay. And these all the regions are being connected with the help of your networkings. And Google is the one which make use of 40% of the traffic of the world's traffic is being utilized across every day. And they are connected with each other with the help of your edge networks. Okay. So whenever if suppose you're trying to access any of your Google platform from India, all right. So it doesn't allow you to straight away connect to the data center which is available in America. No, it's gonna look in the one which is very nearest to you. Okay, and then it connect to that particular data center, and the processing power is provided from inside. The reason is like you have to provide low latency. Okay, it should not take much time whenever you're trying to process anything. It should be very less in time, isn't it, guys? Yeah. Right. And when you talk about so how they have been arranged across the resources, how they have been arranged across. Okay, when you talk about your organization, on the top you have your directors, all right, then you have all right your principal architects and all this stuff. Then you have leads, and then you have the resources working on them. The main reason why you structure your organization in such a hierarchy is like it's easy for you to manage the things. Similarly, all right, when you talk about the resources in your Google Cloud, they have been arranged in form of an hierarchy. Like you have the organization on the top, then you have the folders, then you have the project, and for the each project, you can assign your resources. All right. And the question comes, can a project share the resources between two different projects? Yes, of course, it can share, but most of the cases, it depends upon your budget. Okay, right. And let's talk about the billing part, which is there. That's very important for us. Okay, in case of the GCP, the billing will be done based upon your utilization. So each project will be given, all right, resources or the project billing account, which is there, and the billing is done based upon what you are utilizing. Okay, and you can also set up a threshold for your project. Set that, right? So for your organization has purchased, all right, or using across $1,000, which is that, and under which, like, we have for two different projects, and we can set a budget limit for two projects like 500, so that whenever you're trying to exceed this budget, it's going to give you the information. All right, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So let's talk about some of the reasons why do you feel the Google Cloud is the best option, which is that. Okay. Right. So what are the infrastructure that has been provided across that gonna serve the needs and wants of each individuals? Okay, maybe you create a virtual servers, all right, which has the data storage, the data processing, all right, and you can create or manage your networks very easily. Okay, and you can create your containers. All right, with the help of your containers, you can create your application in a span of time. So when you're creating an application, usually we install an operating system, then we'll install a programming language. And we have to ensure that these programming language, all right, has all the variables which are needed to work with your operating system. But when you talk about the containers, containers come with an inbuilt operating system and then the resources or the software that is there. So there is no need for you to worry about whether whatever the software I'm going to install to create my application is compatible with your operating system or not. Do not worry about that. And if you're creating an application has n number of containers which has been used across. Maybe you created a containerized application for front end, and then you have a back end, and all this stuff. You have to execute them one after the other in a process and a manner. For that one, we make use of your Kubernetes. So Kubernetes basically used for scheduling, orchestrating your containers. Okay, so in a proper manner. And when you talk about the GCP, all right, it's going to provide you the services which going to best suit all your industries. So some of the major industries it's going to support is your retailers. All right, for example, you want to do a demand forecasting. You want to find out, all right, the organization of the product quality of your organization, or you want to support your operational support. Yes, it's going to support. And when you talk about the finance, okay, it's going to provide you the services which help you for online banking solution, all right, financial risk analysis, all right, and on like anti money laundering solutions. They're all been provided. And you take out the healthcare, you have the virtual care supports which have been provided across. And when you talk about the media and entertainments, all right, so you have the infrastructure solution which is going to combine your high quality video, all right, along with your high speed of the content sharing across. And the gaming, Bob. All right, the gaming is like widely used across, wherein you can it provide you the infrastructure, all right, it provide you the data warehouse which can be used across. So guys, right, I think like all of you guys have been viewed the Avatar movie, all right. So the massive amount of the database that they need went up to terabytes and petabytes of your data. That's much how the data that's been used across, and everything was been stored on one of the cloud providers databases. And finally, it provide you all the services that is needed for your telecom as well. Okay. So one thing that concerns us a lot when you talk about, all right, going onto the cloud. Okay. What if I keep my data on the cloud? Is it secure? All right. Will there any tampering will be done? Of course, there is no worry for that one because, all right, any cloud providers which are there, all right, when you're trying to keep your data over there, they have to adhere to certain compliances. Even the GCP adhere to certain compliances which are there. So it gonna get compliant with your your SSAE 16, which we called about, and we called about the ISAE 3402 type 2 standards which are there. So these are the auditing standards and the guidelines which ensure, all right, like all your data that has been placed on the cloud is highly secure. Okay. And when you talk about the access controls, okay, right? So if I keep my data onto your Google Cloud, how do I get the access controls which are there? So they have a wide range of the access control solutions, which can be done with the help of your administrator. So administrator can create the users and give the roles to the various user. On the top of that one, we also make use of your IAM services. All right. All right. So that based upon the user and based upon his role, we're going to give him the privileges so that he will be able to access only its set of data. Yeah. And one of the important feature when you come and talk about why the Google Cloud is important or good is like per second billing. Okay. You will be billed either minute wise or per second wise. All right. And you will be charged for what you are utilizing, not everything. And even you can set your budget control, which is that. Okay, if you certain some budget has been given to a course, you can set the budget control for your account. Okay, if you are being given some $500 for your project, and you can set a budget of 200 per one of the subparts of your project. When it has been exceeded that amount, then you can start adding more. So usually, okay, when you're setting your working on any of project, we do estimation of the resources and what is the costing for that one. Based on that one, you can apply your budget. If your budget is overshooting what you have estimated, plus or minus is okay, but it's overshooting, then you can look into the complete report. So why it has been overshoot? Is there any resource which is not needed, but it's still running at the back end? You can think about all this stuff. And when you talk about the GCP network, which is there, okay, we have seen it like it provide, all right, it is present in 18 countries and 52 regions, and it provide you 40% of the network traffic of the entire world. So these are all connected with your fiber optic networks. And they also have some underground cables which are running from US to Japan. All right. And you can think when it is like at the bottom of the water, which is that hardly you get some disturbance. All right. And your latency and accessing of resource will be very fast. And yes, GCP do provide the scalability of your resources which are there. Whenever you read more and more resources, all right, they are available on time. All right. So when you talk about the scalability part, which is that, okay. So as of now, let us think we created an application and the application is capable of holding 100 people, concurrent users at time. But as and when during the peak hours, more and more users are using your application, then if it is unable to load, balance the load, which is that, then your application slowly, all right, it's gonna go down and finally it's gonna shut down. To overcome that one, you have to provide with more and more resources to accommodate the concurrent users using your application. Okay, that will be done with the help of the scalability process. And we make use of a process called as an auto scaling, wherein it helps us to calculate and instantly provide more resources as and when which are needed. Yes, and talking about the availability. All right, whenever you create any application, deploy your application on the cloud, the application should be available 24/7. And Google provide a challenge or ensuring that all their applications which has been deployed on the GCP are available 99.95% of out of the 100% which is there. Okay, that's the main reason why we go with your cloud computing, wherein you want your resources to available all the time. Yeah. Is my voice very clear to you guys?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Someone is saying like there is some breakage in my voice.
Robert, it's okay, sir. We'll let you know if there is any
All right,
unclarity.
that's great. That's great. All right. So yes. So we talk about, all right, the process monitoring and all this stuff, which help us to know, all right, what is the efficiency of this particular process? All right, how much the hours it has been running up. If suppose any user, you have created an application on the Google Cloud and deployed it on the Google Cloud, and whenever the user, any users from the his home internet trying to access any application, and he try to, all right, ask any query over there, we're going to look into the response time for your application. Okay, so in order to ensure and track all this information, if you're getting a response time within the available time which we have specified across, maybe like 2 seconds to 5 seconds, that's absolutely okay. If it is taking more than that, then you have to trace back. Okay, for that one, we make use of your application performance management tools, which consists of your cloud track. All right, so it will include all the tools which help us to reduce or increase the performance. All right, it reduces the scanning of your application engine and increase the performance. And then we have the cloud debuggers, which will help us to inspect your source code which has been deployed on your production. All right, wherein without slowing down your application, these tools will do. And then we have the cloud provider, which will help us to analyze from time to time the performance of your server on which you deploy your application. It is let us know. So what is the utilization of your CPU and what is your response time? Okay. And let's talk about one of the important features of your, all right, one of the important features of your Google Cloud that is lying on the top layer, that is nothing but your big data and analytics. Google has been provided with a wide range of your databases along with the big data. One such thing is like BigQuery. So with the help of your BigQuery, you can not only store your data, but you can also create your models just by writing some sequence. So once you create any models which are there, you can access your data, then you deploy your data. Then you can get the outcomes of your applications. Okay. So whatever the data that is being outcome from by making use of your machine learning models, which has been created in your big data, you can create or do some analytics on that one with the help of certain tools called as a data studio and Lupus. Okay, you want to analyze anything? Yes, the machine learning and your artificial intelligence play a key role. So with the help of your BigQuery, you can create any type of your machine learning models just by writing a simple query switcher. Okay, well, so we have spoken about a lot of things about your Google Cloud. We looked into the introduction part and we talked about some of the important features. All right. So how do you trust, boss? You're telling about a lot of things, but how do I trust? Yes. In order to trust me, we're going to provide you one of the use case which is there, which is used by one of our client called as your Gojek. So Gojek is one of the goods and services, all right, which has been present in Indonesia, and it's gonna serve 2 million families across the 50 cities in Indonesia. Okay, so you want any groceries, they're gonna help you out. If you want to be moved from one place to other place, like the Uber, Ola, Rapido, which we have in India, they're gonna provide you the mobiles. But they were having certain problems. Okay, so when you look into the statistics of them, all right, for this application, there were 77 million application download, and there were 150K merchants which has been serving across. They provide the service in 50 cities, and they have 1 million drivers, and they have 2 million families to which they are serving. So the major problem they face is like, okay, so they were getting near about 5 TB of data per day, and this data has to be stored, and this data has to be analyzed quickly, then output. First simple thing is like, whenever you book an Uber or Ola cab, you expect a response time, okay, within 1 minute, isn't it? What if you get a response time the next day? It is of no use. This was the one of the major problems that's the way we're facing. Let's look into some of the major problems that we're facing as well. Okay, so they were not able to serve all the requests. All right, the basic reason is like they were getting the data not in time, so they're not able to serve the request. Whenever a person book for a cab, they're not able to provide the cab booking for that one. Okay, right. To overcome this one, these guys have migrated to Google Cloud. So what they did is like whatever the data which is coming down, all right, they were able to process this data with the help of your data pipelines, which has been created across the Google Cloud. All right. So we can look in the architecture. So on the left-hand side, so these are the data sources from which they get the data. So guys, we can just download the application which is there and you book your, right, your cab which is there. And all this information they maintained in your cloud pops up, okay, which is a messaging service, which is to pick the information very quickly and store that one in your cloud data flow. So cloud data flow at the bottom, they have the different types of databases like BigQuery, Bigtable, Spanner, and the Cloud SQL, where the data has to be stored across. And these data has been getting quickly processed with the help of some of the tools in your cloud database, like we have a data prompt, data fusion, all this stuff. And then the data will be stored in your BigQuery. From the BigQuery, with the help of your models, we can analyze the data in a span of time. Okay, right. So they want the major problem where they were not able to provide, all right, the supply of the goods and services as per the demand is like there is a mismatch in the number of people who are booking the services and the availability of their cabs. All right. So how did they solve this problem? Is like, okay, so they have created the applications. All right, with these applications, all right, wherever you see the green dots, okay, so the green dots are nothing but where the caps are available, and the red dots are nothing, rates are the regions where the people are booking the new caps and the caps are not available. So what they did is like they identified the places where there are more cabs available, and they identified the places where there are more booking which is happening. In a span of time, they send the request to the nearby location where the more cabs are available to serve the request to the places where there are more bookings. Okay, that's where they're able to shift across or send across, all right, the places to where there are more cabs to the places where the more booking has been done across. Okay, that's where they're able to solve this problem. Okay, with the help of your GCP. All right, elaborating a bit on more on the security part, which is there. Okay, right. So with the help of your GCP, all right, in order to access your resources which are there, so they provide highly rigorous security practices which are there. So they will have the operation team which will ensure your defect and the response to the threat. And their major aim is to prevent from any malicious activities which has been done to your data or your application which is being provided on the Google Cloud. Okay, and you have the internet communication which is there. So whenever you try to transit your data, okay, the data will be encapsulated or encrypted before it will be transmitted, and it was being decrypted at the other end. And it has a multi-layer protections like denial of the service attacks. So it nearly consists about 7 layers, all right, before it access your data in your GCP, all right. And then we have the identity which is there. Okay, so everyone can't access your GCP platform, which is okay. So you should have an identity, you should have an authorization and authentication. On the top of that one, they also provide you the security key, which is there, like just like the tokens which are there. Okay, so nowadays, whenever you try to do any transfers of your amount, which is there, though you entered your password, still it will ask for the OTP, isn't it? So similarly, all right, whenever you try to access any GCP highly secure data, apart from your user ID and the password, it will ask you a third-party authentication, multi-layer, multi-factor authentication, which we call about. Okay, and whatever the hardware which has been provided across, they are completely controlled and they are highly secure, and it provides 7 layers of security to access them. Okay, and they have the wide range of the data centers which has been working 24/7. With the help of these processes, they are able to provide their application near about 95% of your time. All right, let's come to the one of the cooling factor, which is that that's your scaling part, which is that. Basically, what do you mean by scaling is like? Scaling is nothing but the availability of your resources whenever there is an increase in the demand or when there is a decrease in the demand. Okay, and when you talk about the type of scaling, we have a vertical scaling and a horizontal scaling, which is that. Okay, so when I talk about the vertical scaling, we are trying to increase the resources of the same servers itself. All right, but when you talk about the horizontal scaling, we are adding one more instance of the same capacity. Okay, this called as your horizontal scaling, which is across. Mostly in case of your cloud computing, we just go with the horizontal scaling, not with the vertical scaling across. And this scaling also, it will be done automatically based upon the rules that you write. Okay, if suppose we have set a server, this server is capable of handling 100 users. Okay, right? And we write a rule stating that if the number of users has been increased or if the processing power has been more than 5 seconds, then we have to increase one resource. Okay, if the number of users are decreasing or if the processing power is been not so needed, then it automatically reduce one resource as well. So you're going to pay for what you are utilizing. Yeah. All right. Well, this is all about your GCP, the introduction to your cloud computing, and why GCP is good. Wherein we have looked into one of the classic example from the Gojek. Similarly, we have many examples out across. Okay, right, guys, that's all from my side. Okay, you have any questions? We just open the floor for your question and answers, please.
Thank you, Venkat sir. That was really enlightening for us. I'm sure students might have some questions. As soon as they post, or as soon as they ask us, we'll definitely let you know. Right?
Oh,
so far, we haven't received many questions.
Okay, good.
Sure. So we can wait another 2-3 minutes till if somebody wants to ask about anything regarding what sir has delivered or regarding the course that you might want to know about, right? So please do let us know if there is any sort of question that you're in. Hi, Ankit. Okay, sir, Ankit is asking horizontal scaling on the based of hardware part of the computer. Ankit, are you asking what horizontal scaling is based on hardware, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, friend, when we talk about the scaling process which are there, we will provide you the instance. So, entire server has been provided across. So, this server will have the hardware components along with the software components which is needed in order to handle your request.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I hope, Ankit, you've got the answer of the query that you've given here. And with this, ma'am, we also have some of the queries from our registrants as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sure.
yes. So, yeah, shall I take them up?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay, so first question, it is very common question that one gets is like what all okay, so I'll just read the questions. So what are the training and certification opportunities we can have while doing the Google Cloud specifically?
See, guys, as of now, you were just seen the introduction part, which is there. Okay, so we have to go with the Google Cloud fundamentals. All right, then we have the various courses which are there. We talk about the data engineering, we talk about the architecture part, which is there. Okay, and then we talk about the DevOps services, a lot of things which are there. So as of now, so you guys are just the freshers. So what I request you is like we have the big data analysis and the cloud computing part, which is there. That is the first course that you need to take up. But for that course, there is no certification. So coming to the details about the certification and the courses which are there, okay, we probably send you across the list.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Devika, you're there?
I believe. I think there's an internet connection might be. She.
Okay. So the courses and certification part, which is there, we'll send you the details. A mail will be sent across. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So there's another question. Is the what are the ethical considerations that Google actually, I mean, when you do these type of things, right, where they actually retrieve the data. So what are those ethical considerations and how ethically it is fine to capture the data? So if you want to just talk about it, maybe.
See, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the first and foremost thing is like, let me give you a simple example of the banking sector, which is that. Okay. Right. So, guys, if you have a bank locker which is there, okay, right, and if you want to put something into that one, all right, when you go to the bank to open your locker, there are two locks which has been provided across. One lock is with the banker, one lock is with you. Unless until both the locks has been provided, you can't explore the data, isn't it?
Right.
Right. Similarly, when you talk about the GCP part, which is there, okay, so the data is highly secure. Okay, you get n number of multi-factor authentication before you access your data. Okay, so the data is very secure and we need not worry about some tampering done to your data. Okay, so whatever the resources which is available across, okay, and the data has been stored across, they will provide you, apart from multi-factor authentication, they provide you 7 layers of the protection, which we call as a denial of the service attacks, which will prevent you from the hackers attacking your data. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And sir, just last thing, what do you
Yeah.
wanna maybe suggest or advise all the students who are, I mean, they have good amount of time before they join the university here. So what do you want to suggest? What should they study maybe in the meantime? In the meantime they have before they join the university. What should they focus on so that they have the best when they come in here?
Oh, is it okay? Primary, these guys are doing their graduation or post graduation.
So graduation, mostly.
So,
Yeah.
so 12, okay, 12, maybe +2 guys will be joining the colleges, right?
Right.
Okay, so guys, so you are just very novice and you are very young, man. Okay, what I request you is like, okay, try to know how to operate a machine. That's the laptop, which is that. Go with the basic fundamentals. Okay, so try to learn about some programming languages, basic programming languages, which are there. Okay, and try to know something about the cloud computing. Try to learn a bit more wherever you have a chance about machine learning and artificial intelligence. That is where now the world is running behind. Okay, all right, and try to learn about some basics of your sequels. Okay, how you can store the data, how you can retrieve the data, and all this stuff. Okay, so basic things. I don't advise you to go in deep. Basic things, all right, will be sufficient. All right, a bit of programming language like C. Start learning something about the sequels, and know what is the machine learning and what is artificial intelligence across. Okay, and try to learn a bit of your MS Office. All right, know how to make use of the Excel sheets, work around with the Excel sheets. That's the basic things. Yes, that should be good with you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And with this, I just want just want all the attendees, if you have any other question, please write in the chat box or Q&A box so that we can ask the expert. And if not, then sir, ma'am, I shall take your permission to wrap this webinar. Shall I?
Oh,
Well,
if there
yeah, sir. Please carry on.
if there are any questions, I'm allowed to address the questions which are there. If they are not, if there are no questions, then you can take up your call.
Okay. Ma'am, were you saying something?
I was saying the same thing, that if no questions are there, then we can definitely close the session.
Yes, and I believe you're done with the queries. And with this, ma'am, sir, I just want to thank you for coming in here, for actually crediting your time for all the students here. And it has been really an insightful presentation. And thank you, Ms. Devika, also for joining here. And at last, I just want to thank to all the participants also for coming in, for giving your questions. Your interaction is really appreciated. So with this, I take the leave here and meet you soon, maybe physically in the university and in the next webinar, maybe. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. And at last, again, want to thank you all the experts who have joined. Vinsirat ma'am, Venkat sir, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.